Hey, it's Tayana.
And Ty. And you're locked into
Hope for the City.
Confía, 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 confía. Si los días parecen meses y los segundos parecen horas, porque sin ti no puedo vivir. Siento mil voces en mi cabeza, mas solo hay una que me interesa y dice confía, me dice confía. Ahora sé que todo va a estar bien. No me hace falta nada, no me preocupa nada. I know everything's gonna be alright. Over the city night show, join in the flow. I know.
What is up, Miami? You are tuned in to Hope for the City here at 88.3 FM, the place where you can start again, dream again, and live inspired again.
Yes, be inspired again. This is the place to be. I'm Tayana, and tonight we're diving into a topic that's gonna hit home for all of us. Boundaries.
Hey, boundaries. So we're talking about boundaries in everyday life, at work, with your family, and in your relationship. So if you've ever felt stretched too thin, disrespected, or even emotionally drained, this one's for you.
Don't worry, this isn't just another self-help rant. We're coming in with real life stories, biblical truth, and practical wisdom to help you actually live this out. So grab your cafecito, come on now,
Hey.
and chill with us for the next hour, and let's get into it. Let's talk boundaries. God's got something for you tonight.
Right here
You're tuned into Hope for the City with Tayana.
and Ty.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. Hope for the City. Let's talk basics. Boundaries are like fences. They protect what's valuable. They're not walls to keep people out, but lines that define where you end and someone else begins.
That is so good. And the truth is, most people aren't taught how to set boundaries, especially in our culture. And when I say culture, I'm not just talking about Dominican culture. Hey, talking about our society
Everything,
on our
yeah.
day-to-day base with our bosses,
Latinos mostly,
with
too,
our
in general.
partners, with
Yeah.
our friends, our family, as mentioned. And we're being available all the time is seen as being either strong or good.
But constantly saying yes when your soul is screaming no is not healthy. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. It's an act of self-protection. And more than that, they're God-designed. Boundaries are God-designed.
Hey.
So you don't have to feel guilty.
Let's take our role model, in this case, Jesus, right?
Yes.
He had how many disciples?
12.
He had 12 disciples, and out of those 12 disciples, he would actually vent to specifically 3 disciples. Say when we say boundaries.
Boundaries.
Come on.
He only saw 3 of them as most intimate to him. I don't know about you guys, but we tend to connect a lot with many people in our everyday lives,
Right.
right? Work, everything. I mean, you go to a supermarket, you go everywhere. Not everyone is considered or should be considered to be an intimate. Not everyone is to be allowed in your most precious energy of
Yes.
who you are. You have to store that. You have to guard that. Those are boundaries. Who you choose as your inner circle, who you choose as your friends, that is valuable. You're a treasure,
Yes.
right? Not everybody could have access to that. Those are boundaries.
You know, it's interesting that the most people that get to hear people's stories, this is facts, by the way, 3 people. It's either your barber,
That's good.
your Uber driver, or your bartender. This is just in
For
general.
girls, it would be the hairdresser, right?
Right. In today's culture,
Or your nail
that's,
lady.
That's how I would say how far off we are from the truth that we're choosing to vent to strangers than we are willing to vent to intimate people. So by
That is deep.
stats, you prefer to speak to your barber, and yes, your barber can become your friend,
They
but at
can.
the end of the day, they're playing a role and they're there for work. Your bartender, they'll pretend for a moment, make sure you tip them. Hey, and your Uber driver, same thing.
Or you get the extra drinks.
Exactly. He's under, in this case, a contract and operating in function to, he's getting something out of it. So in all three, I'm mentioning people that are getting paid for the conversation. You're not getting paid for what you're investing into it. They are. Are you
Wow.
with me?
Yeah.
So with that said, what is that letting us know? That society has a tendency to pick the three. Instead of Jesus picking 3 out of his 12 of most intimate, Peter, James, and John, they pick the 3 that are getting paid for what they do.
And I mean, it could go both ways, right? I mean, I tend to believe that my hair lady is somebody that she's precious to me, and I actually do vent with her. But in a bigger scale of things, of where you're trying to get to here, it's not really choosing the intimate people that really care for you. If you're choosing your barber or your bartender or your driver, right? You're going for what's least compromise, or somebody that's not really going to check you out. Like, hey, you're
Exactly.
doing this wrong. Maybe you should go this way.
Right.
But they're more here for the listening stage, right?
There
Like
it
you
is.
just need a listener to go, oh, that was funny. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you did that. So it's more for the hype than it is for the instruction. So watch out on that, because instead of being like Jesus, who was very intentional on who he chose to share with
Yeah.
and give his most precious, I mean, the Bible says, be wise, do not throw your pearls at pigs,
There it
right?
is.
Instead of us being intentional into who we consider our intimate circle, we're going for the people that we could least consider intimate
Yeah.
to share our precious thoughts or lives, and we don't know what's going to happen after, right? Like if they share that with other people, and that's important information to us, right?
Yeah. And so tonight's Friday night. So all the Uber drivers are listening.
And we
Listen,
love you guys.
We love you so
Thank you for what you
so
do.
much. A great testimony. Friday nights, I used to use my voice to go and drive Uber, and it was a time and a moment where I would preach the gospel to strangers. I felt like they would open up to me. I'd be able to be effective. And coincidentally, Friday nights were specifically for preaching the gospels to those who were on their way to a party to do something. And on a Friday night,
You were driving them.
I'll never forget this. I get a call from, in this case, the president of this radio station. And he says, I need you on Friday nights to host a Friday night show. So I was hosting a Friday night show before the Friday night show. But again, because I was able to connect with people through Uber. So I'm letting you guys know we love you so much. And one of the quick stories which have to do with boundaries, this is crazy. One time we came across, and we can say this in a very polite way. I've gotten in trouble for saying these kind of dancers, but exotic dancers on a Friday night. And it was about 5 or 4 of them. And we were talking, and they said, and I said, what do you do? And they said, we're psychologists. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. So what are your patients like, et cetera, et cetera? They're like, no, it's a joke. We're actually exotic dancers, but we feel like we're psychologists because all these men come to us
Wow.
to vent. They tell us everything about their wife, about their life, about their kids, and they simply come so that they can lay their heads on our chests.
Oh my Jesus.
It just got deep here in Hope for the City. But it's to let
our society.
it's
too,
to
how
let us
far
know
off.
exactly how far off we are, that we pay to vent versus having an inner circle of safe space where we can be able to give our pearls to those who would treasure them. So we'll be right back with more and some great music here at Hope for the City.
Let's talk about work first. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope for the City. We are so glad you're here. Are you enjoying this topic? Because it's getting so good, and it's about
Juicy.
to get so deep, and maybe a little emotional here and there, and maybe a little confidential too, because we do trust you. So we're talking about work. I am getting called into work right now, before time, way before time. But guess what? We're talking boundaries today, so we're respecting that. How many of y'all feel like you have to answer to every text, every email, every DM, even after hours? Raise your
Yes,
hands.
come on.
That's me. I'm the workhorse at my job site, and everybody knows it.
It's so important to respect your time and everybody else's time. Sometimes setting boundaries for yourself or other people. They don't
Yes.
even know it, but they've never had, like we said, a time and a moment where they've have to reprioritize their boundaries. So sometimes you're gonna have to be the bigger person for this to happen. And one of the things is work, right? So when it's stressing you out 24/7, that is not hustle. What is that? That is burnout, right? So you need work boundaries. That could look like also turning your phone off after saying 7 p.m. or if you go to break, right? What do you say? I'm unavailable. I'm in lunch.
I'm having my lunch.
That is
relax.
work boundaries.
100%. Oh my goodness. I am one to preach out here that this is hitting home. Everybody knows, kid you not, at my workplace that I am the person they can call at any given time, hurricane, fire, or just because I will be there. I will be there. Why? Because I love it so much that I don't even realize it. And then, there comes a day where, hey, I had an anniversary or something that was, I had to be there. And
Right.
I've learned as time goes by to prioritize, right? I mean, hurricane season, Florida. Okay, this hurricane's pretty big. I need to cover it. But then maybe it's not a hurricane. Maybe it's just an everyday life that anybody else can really do it. Maybe they just don't want to do it because they don't want to go the extra mile. But guess what? I always go the extra mile. So maybe today I can do my usual and attend my parents' anniversary dinner, right? So there are certain boundaries that we have to create for ourselves. And as we create them for ourselves, we also show others that they have to respect us. Because if an anniversary,
you're always available.
If you're always available, then whether you realize it or not, then you become a doormat where it's like, oh, she'll be there. She'll do it. It doesn't matter what she has to do. It doesn't matter if it's important or not. She'll always cover us. And then, okay, the other person's just there scratching their belly and not doing anything important. You're missing your parents' 43rd anniversary dinner. I mean,
listen, and this is, by the way, in case you're listening to us, we are faith-based, and this is so biblical. Aside from Jesus's testimony of how he had 12, closed it down to 3. In fact, his parents sometimes would go get him when he was preaching, and they're like, "Yo, I'm outside," and he's like, "What you mean?
I'm handling my business.
I'm here doing my father's business." That's one. When he was
Needs to
12
be
years
done.
old, he already knew boundaries.
That's
He knew his
huge.
place. And then also, as he was preaching the gospel in the middle of this town, a bunch of people, they're like, "Yo, your parents are here." And he's like, "Parents?" So mother, sister, he says, "Those who do the will of God, they're all here." Right? So he was letting us know that there is a new family that you have.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a time and a place where first you're about the Father's business, set boundaries there. And then second, my new family is not my bloodline family. It's my new family in faith. You know what I mean? But what's the principle behind it is how he knew when to stop and he knew when to set boundaries.
Yes, I love that. And, if you're a student out here listening, boundaries with school matter too. Your grades don't define your worth. It's okay to take a break without guilt. Also guilty of this. Oh my goodness. People are going to think like, what's wrong with you, Ty?
Hey,
Here's what's up. I mentioned it before. I'm that straight A student that tended to be a perfectionist and tended to, just wanted to do it all. Like, yes.
yeah.
Put it in my agenda. I got it. I can do it. Kid you not, Pastor Ty, I graduated early in 4 careers.
Right.
28 credits in 1 semester. That was undoable. I
Right.
had to beg my dean to give me that signature.
Right.
And you know what? I felt like I had to go the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
I remember I did not have that college fun life that everybody else had because I was always studying. I didn't want to lose my scholarship.
Yeah.
I went full ride scholarship all through college and university with 4 careers. 4 careers. That's insane. I don't know what I was thinking, but of course, I learned along the way to set boundaries. I mean,
Yes.
that in that moment, that was a priority in my life. So had I been all about, the parties, the jokes, the fun, I would not have graduated
Yes.
early like I really wanted to, which was my pathway in the moment, which was my priority at the moment.
Right,
So I
right,
learned
right.
early on the importance of boundaries because I saw the end game. I saw, only 20% of the class graduated in that scholarship. So had I not placed those boundaries, things would have really gone south.
Now, question for you. Since we're also mentioning families, has there been a specific story that you've realized, man, okay, I set my boundaries at work. I set my boundaries with my friends. I set boundaries within myself. Now, I tend to, in this case, be a little bit more open with my family. Have you had a story or a moment in your life where you said, okay, I got to set boundaries with my parents, et
Oh
cetera,
my
et cetera?
goodness. So I think that's the hardest one for me when it comes to family. If you know us, if you know Los Tayanes, if you know our family lineage, we are crazy about family. And I mean it in the best way possible. Like we just love our family, right? So just recently, let me share this story. This past weekend, I was in Georgia for a wedding. And it was just amazing. It's just so much fun when you're with family. You're with the cousins. You're with the people that love you the most. If you turn on your head, they'll love you regardless. If you sing with the gallos, they'll love you still,
Yeah.
So it turns out that at my family meetings, I tend to be the host, right? So like, you got to do the games, gotta, all the entertainment, all the fun. Keep it fun, keep it flowing, keep it going.
They're looking to you for the hey, you're going to lead this. I
Yes,
got you.
let's lead this through, and and you are in charge of all the fun,
Hey.
and you are in charge of everything. But guess what? When I'm with my family, I also want to relax, right?
You want to fit in. You want to ease out.
No,
just
that's
kinda,
that's my day off.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
really want to just just not have to think for a while. Like when you go on a trip and
Yes.
you have somebody else that's actually leading the way, and you're like, yes, I can turn my brain off a little
There
bit.
it is.
So literally, I was thinking about that. I was having my meal, like everybody else was having their meal, and I was like, I wish I could just relax, like just be one of everyone else, and everyone's just like, Tay, time for the games, let's go. And I'm like, yo, I can't even finish my salad. I haven't ate the whole day because I was decorating, because I was shopping, because I was helping the kids, I was babysitting, I was chaperoning, I was checking where we had to eat, I was it tends to be a lot, and and whether you realize it or not, it becomes a little overwhelming when you're the leader of the pack all the time. Not because
Right.
you really want to, but because they just know you can do it, so they count on you regardless, day in and day out, right? So
Right,
like
right.
literally we get there, and I don't live in Atlanta. I have no idea what's good in Atlanta, but everybody's like, Tay, so where are we gonna eat?
Yeah.
So check out what's the best place here. They just trust you with it. So I got to the point where I literally told them, I was like, hey, I'm also on my day off. Like, can I eat and then lead the games?
Yes.
And that to me was a huge boundary. Kid
Yeah.
you not? Like that was big because usual Ty would have been like, yes, let me not eat and keep going, right? And then what? At the end of the night, at 1, 2, everybody was happy and whatnot, but I hadn't ate,
Right.
right? It turned out really fun, by the
Yeah.
way. It was we did the games, we did everything, but to me, that boundary was a whole 9 yards.
Now, question: could it be possible that there are seasons in your life where you gladly led family meetings and reunions, and you love doing it, but then over time,
Yeah.
because you had to lead in so many other departments, now being with your family, now you have to enter into a time of autopilot. But because they're so used to you leading, they
Yeah.
become accustomed to leading.
Yeah.
So can you talk to the people that have led at one time and season in their lives? Now they've entered into the autopilot mode, and now they have people depending on them to lead.
All the time. So what do you mean? So in other words,
Like knowing about your history and you growing up, you've always loved to lead these settings.
yeah.
And so people got accustomed to that.
Yeah. They just,
And so they see you
know
once a
have it.
year, and they always knew that you're going to
You're
bring
the
a
clown.
talent
You're
show.
the clown of the
you're gonna bring
family.
activity, right?
You're gonna run
and
it.
So
You're gonna have fun
because
at
they
it.
got accustomed to that, now you're leading in other areas of your life, and in that specific area, that's your safe space now.
Oh, that makes sense.
So with that said, what would you say to those who have been leading for a time, and then now, again, they find themselves overwhelmed by having to lead in all spaces and all areas?
In all areas of your life. I think that's the cue here, right? Where it's like, there has to be some time off, man. There
Yeah.
has to be a time where you can just relax and let it go. And I honestly had that conversation
There it
with
is.
all my aunts.
So communication.
Yes, I had that conversation with my aunts, with my cousins, with my parents. And I actually made a funny post about it. I was like, I have a public announcement to make.
Yes.
I need time off.
I'm no longer leading
I
family
am
settings.
no longer leading. And it's fun and it's cool because, it's part of who you are. And it's actually cool to see that they
look to
trust you in that way, shape, and form. Mind you, kid you not, I had not planned all the Bachelorette games, but it turned out to be it turned out to be better than I ever expected to be in that sense. But I think having a conversation, going back to the topic, having a conversation with them and telling them, there's a time and frame where I prefer to also relax.
Yes.
And let's try to respect that
There it is.
within.
That word respect.
And I'm going to come back to that boundaries, and because there are other times where those boundaries you set will also help you out in the long run.
Yes.
But honoring your parents doesn't always mean sacrificing your mental health. For example, I have this thing also, Pastor Ty, I lived in California for 9 years.
Yeah.
So being away from my parents.
But this is
to
getting
me-
really, really juicy. Let's take a quick pause. We'll be right back with more
have
as
so
we're
much.
discussing boundaries. But Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart,
Yes.
for it determines the flow and the course of your life. Blessings.
We'll be right back.
Yo solo
We have
quiero
so much
estar
more.
contigo. No quiero.
Hey, it's Tayana.
And Ty, and you're locked into
Hope for the City.
So thank you for joining us here tonight at Hope for the City. Our motto is very simple, and we pray you always remember it. Would you start again, dream again, and live inspired again? So in tonight's topic, we are addressing boundaries at work, boundaries with our friends and our family, using the ultimate example of Jesus Christ. Having 12, only selected 3 to be able to be vulnerable and open with. So he knew how to set boundaries, and I believe that moving forward, you will too. Now, I'm speaking to my amazing co-host, Tayhana Garcia, and I want to ask her from personal experience, family boundaries. Talk to us a little bit about boundaries and things that sometimes even in our own family, we have a hard time setting. Or stories that have happened to you that maybe you set boundaries, but other people didn't set boundaries.
So let's talk about Y el Novio season, which is every single family gathering.
Hey,
So that just happened this weekend, right? We were having this really long conversation until 4 a.m. with all the cousins, and the cousins are like, yo, it's just, I don't know, Thai. If it was hard for you back then when you had these like really high standards, very high standards, I don't know how much harder it must be for you now that you're a professional and now you really know what you want and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I was like, well, yeah, what's the problem with that? Well, tell me how. There was this wedding. Are you ready for this juice? I have not
Come
even
on.
told Pastor T about this.
Hey.
This is good juice.
this is juicy food.
What if the homie tunes in and he hears
Yeah.
this? What'll happen? What'll happen
Você,
then?
como ele vai? Tudo bem?
No!
ahead.
Stop! You're saying too much. Okay, so the person officiating. Wait. Let me go back. So our cousin was getting married to his longtime girlfriend. We've known her for, I don't know, years. She's visited.
years.
Yeah, she's visited me in California. We've done road trips together. She's always around for the family gatherings in Dominican Republic, Miami, whatnot. But we had never met officially. We had never met, period, her family. We just knew she had, oh my goodness, I'm saying too much already.
Go ahead.
But that's why it's fun and confidential out here in Hope for the City. The truth and the good and the juicy always comes out. So the person officiating the wedding was actually her brother. And first thing he says is, I don't know why she asked me to talk about love when I am a single man. And, you know, what can a single man say about love? Kid you not, I did not even hear that because I was so concentrated in the wedding and what was happening, blah, blah. So the wedding officiation ends and the party starts and all my cousins, kid you not.
Well, first off, how was the officiating? Like, does he present himself well? Does he speak well?
He speaks well.
He flows.
He flows. He's
He's
cool.
probably from Hawaii.
I don't know. Oh my God. How
He's
do you
probably-
Wait. How do you know these things?
No, I'm just
Okay,
I'm
think
guessing.
No, I think you
Go
already
ahead.
you already heard the juice.
No, I haven't.
Yes,
I haven't.
he did. How did
This
he
is-
hear the juice? I have
The
not
Bible
shared
says
it
a
with
prophet is not honored in his own hometown. Go ahead.
you. What is going on? I did not share anything with this. How do you know? I guess you really are a prophet. Anyways.
Come on.
That was deep. This is funny. Okay, so thing is, everybody comes up to me and they're like, I really like this guy for you. I mean, I'm talking cousins, I'm talking tias, I'm talking tios, I'm talking everyone. And then he starts dancing bachata.
Hey.
Oh, that was game over
Let's
for
go.
everyone. So they're all pushing me towards the guy, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna, initiate anything. So he invites me to dance. Turns out we were the whole vibe check of the night because Pastor T decided to not go. Ty was not there, which
I was
who
on an
missed-
assignment.
who I missed a lot, by the way. So, of course, why was I going to say no to dancing? Turns out we danced the whole night. We hung out the whole night. It was a lot of fun. And the thing is, it turned out to be a really fun thing with the family because, well, they know my boundaries. They know not to cross certain things, but then they also know what I like and what I don't like. So then it turns out that boundaries are good for you, right? Because they
Yeah.
protect you to a moment where when another person seems to carry themselves with the same boundaries, with the same values, with the same love for God, then, you will align yourself with likewise or like-minded people, right? So, in other words, they didn't point out to everyone at the party. They pointed out to the person that seemed to have. I'm not saying we're going to have anything, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
I'm just saying.
But aloha.
But falo português. But they were saying, well, listen.
I'd be jealous, by the way, because I always said, listen, either I marry a Colombian or a Brazilian.
He's a Brazilian.
And so
And
if
then-
you beat me to it, we're gonna have problems.
we might just have problems. The thing is, so Homie has all these masters, and then he did a master's in Barcelona, and he travels a lot and does a whole bunch of things, and very smart, dance in the Lord, blah blah blah. I am not saying he's the one, but he looks like it, right? So because I set myself very strict boundaries until this time in my life, does that make sense? That when people see that, they
Yes.
also want
Respect.
to respect that and hold you accountable to that. Am I making a point out here?
Completely.
Boundaries set you apart to what is best out
Quality.
there. Quality.
Listen.
Quality is better than quantity. My tias know that I do not joke around, that I don't waste
We're not here
time,
for
that I'm not
clowns.
here for clowns, that I'm not here to waste my time. I am here for the best and only the best.
Yes.
And so they handpicked what they thought was the best and only the best. Mind you, that's actually the first time they do that because they're always like, no, not good enough. No, does not pass.
Right.
I don't like him for you.
Right.
Not cool enough, not smart enough, doesn't make enough, blah, 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 blah. So, kid you not, all this to say, boundaries set you apart.
Come on.
Boundaries hold what is best of God for you. Boundaries protect you. Boundaries show respect for you. And boundaries speak for themselves when you are to make decisions. Okay? So boundaries are actually God-given. They are
Yes.
good things for you. Yes?
Yes, most definitely. You you have a Ferrari. That Ferrari, you don't drive it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That is a weekend car. It's an exclusive. It's called an exotic car for a reason. And because you're God's prized possession, not everybody gets to drive you around. And they have to hold that value. Now, same thing. You don't give what we talk about all the time, a 9-year-old a Ferrari.
Yes.
Why? He can't handle it.
He can't handle it. It's
right?
too much for him.
It's too much for him. And so in the same way, it has to be somebody that's mature, somebody that understands the value of the
That can
car and
handle
can
it.
actually, in this case, afford the car. Hello. And so with being as practical as possible, you know, your story, our stories, people that have decided to set themselves apart, or if not, you're going to practice,
Yes.
you know, the exclusion of saying, I am God's apple.
I'm not for everyone.
I am the Lord's possession.
Yes.
I am his holy nation. I'm a royal priesthood.
Yes.
Once you begin to believe that identity for yourself and others begin to see it in you as well, they also will make sure that the best of the best is reserved for you.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Just recently, this is kind of a funny one. Just recently, I got called a Bugatti.
Hey,
I had to Google that car.
you see, we're just talking about cars with George. He came into the studio. Come on.
Just recent, he's like, it's because you're like a Bugatti. And I'm like, wait, what? I've been called a Barbie that they couldn't afford before, but not a Bugatti. And then you know what my response was? You want to hear it out?
Go ahead.
Yeah. And you decided to go to a Toyota lifestyle. Because it was his choice in the end. At the end of
Hey.
you know, because not everybody's gonna be up for it. You know, there's so much talk. There's so much talk in general, but then boundaries will protect you to see who really is worth it. That they're gonna pull through.
Yeah.
Right. That they're gonna respect your boundaries as far as respect and holding you and valuing you as a woman, as a man of God. But you also have to know, yes. I am a Bugatti. I'm not going to take it in a bad way. Either you put in the work or the gas, or, you know, you come in to clean up the Bugatti.
Yes.
But you're not going to drive it every once in a while just because without and seeing the value
Without
there
insurance.
is to it. You have to come like, full insurance. There's no joke to
There's a
this.
song that says, I pulled up in a Bugatti.
Oh, yeah?
That's what they're feeling like.
How does that mean?
They pulled up with you.
It's expensive.
Right. So
Just kidding.
thank
I'm
you
not
for
even expensive.
Exactly. But-
by the way, I kind of want to, you know, put
Yeah,
this parenthesis.
Of course.
We're not talking about money here
No.
or expenses. I'm not talking about, we're talking about values.
Yes.
We're talking about heart. We're talking about the woman of God that you are, the man of God that you are. That is so valuable that there is no diamond in the world that can compare to that.
Amen.
You coming in to the party and knowing, ooh, this girl's different. This man's
Hey.
different. What's up? There's something about you. You don't even have to open your mouth. You don't even got to show your special moves. They know.
Trust
right?
me, they know.
They know.
Because the
Meaning,
light shines in the darkness.
yes. So you were saying,
So tonight was powerful.
yes.
We unpacked what boundaries are and how to set them and why they matter in every area of our lives.
Yes. And if you're listening right now, feeling overwhelmed, like, where do I even start? Where do I even begin with all this? Too much information. What boundaries should I set in this time and moment in my life where it's like, but I really want it, but I really want to budge in. Start small. Say one honest no this
Right.
week. I don't feel like going. Forget that fear of missing out. I really feel like I should stay in, lock in, read my Bible, do something good, listen to a good
Invest into
podcast,
yourself.
invest in yourself, take 10 minutes for yourself, turn your phone off. That's a boundary.
There
You
it
know,
is.
I decide today that I want to go to the jacuzzi and relax. I decide that I want to go to the beach. I want to read a book. I want to have a good conversation. I do not need to do what everybody else is doing. That's a boundary.
Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting what God has placed inside of you. Why? Because Christ in you, the hope of glory.
Yes, boundaries, in other words, are there to protect you. They are there to really set you apart. And let me share this before we even end, because oh my goodness, there's just so much on this. We didn't even think it was gonna go this deep, did we?
No, but I'm so glad that you're tuned in on this amazing Friday night. And I hope you're enjoying the juice as much as we are.
Yes. So boundaries aren't selfish, they're spiritual wisdom. Even God set boundaries. Listen up to this one. In Genesis, God separated light from darkness and land from sea. He placed boundaries. In the 10 commandments, he set clear spiritual and moral boundaries. Jesus himself often withdrew from the crowds to be alone with the Father. In Luke 5:16, he didn't heal everyone or he didn't say yes to every single request. So here's a spiritual takeaway from this. Boundaries help you stay aligned with God's will, not people's expectations on you. And listen up to this one. Discernment is key. Setting spiritual boundaries requires discernment, which is a gift from the Holy Spirit. 1 Corinthians 12:10 says, not everything is good. Not everything is God's best for you. You might need to say no to certain friendships. Listen up. You might need to say no to certain friendships, invitations, or activities, even if they're not that bad, because they drain you from your spirit or distract you from your calling. So here to say, guard your peace, take care of that calling, respect your energy. Not everyone deserves your energy. It's beautiful. It's precious. It truly is a treasure. And do not apologize for protecting your heart. Protect your hearts.
So with that said, thank you for joining us tonight here at Hope for the City. Would you start again, dream again, live inspired again, and most importantly, would you set boundaries?
Yes. So remember, we're here every Friday night at 9 p.m. here on 88.3 FM, where healing starts with a conversation. We love you, Miami. Stay bold, stay kind, and don't forget, there is power in your boundaries.
God's got something for you tonight.
Right here, right now.
You're tuned into Hope for the City with Tayana
And Ty.